Welcome back to another YouTube video. Now, this is one that I've been looking forward to making for a while because a lot of you guys ask this question every single day in my messages, and finally I'm going to answer in a long video. YouTube is the perfect place to be able to answer this question. Now, you can see behind me I've got some notes. Now, it all will be explained in a minute. I'm going to get straight into it and answer this key question you guys always ask. Now, the biggest question I receive every single day on my social media is, David, how did you get residency in Bulgaria? What was the process? What were the steps? How did you manage to achieve it? Now, I did everything the long way. I did everything the hard way. I did everything myself without any immigration lawyer or any specialist. If I could have gone back, I would definitely have got a specialist to do it. Now, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to save £500, £600 by not hiring someone to assist me with this. But looking back, that money I would have actually saved if I had spent it on a specialist. So first thing I will say before we get into the video is, guys, I would highly encourage you to get an immigration specialist to deal with these affairs. But if you do want to do it yourself, or if you do want to just know the process in general, or if you're just intrigued, I'm going to break everything down. So I'm going to be turning around and looking at the screen because there is a lot of notes and a lot of documents and a lot of things that we need to go through. So this process is in no particular order. So it's not like this was the first thing we did, this was the second thing. This is just in everything that's needed. In terms of costs, I can't remember exact costs for each individual thing, but I know it costs us in excess of around £3,000, which is what, 6,500 leva for the entire process to get all of the documents, because everything costs money. All of the documents cost money. Nothing is free to obtain. So we're going to start with the D visa. Now, for those who don't know, in order to move, I'm talking specifically from the UK. I'm going to assume it's the same as any country in order to move to Bulgaria, but I'm talking to somebody from the UK. So you need what's called a D visa. Now, the D visa is a particular type of visa that lasts for a period of 6 months. Now, the purpose of the D visa is to grant you enough time to be able to apply and obtain your residency permit. So step one is to get the D visa. D visa is key. Now, also, I want to make sure you guys know that the method I went through was visa through marriage. So my wife is Bulgarian. We applied through the marriage route. However, I know there are other routes to do it. However, I can only talk from my personal route and my personal experience of being married to a Bulgarian citizen. So we're going to get started with the D visa. So for the D visa, here's everything required. So a UK marriage certificate. So we got married in the UK. So our UK marriage certificate, we had to register as a Bulgarian marriage. So in order to do that, we had to go to our local council in our town in Bulgaria and actually register the marriage from the UK to Bulgaria. You will then be issued with a Bulgarian wedding certificate, and that is, you have to have a Bulgarian wedding certificate in order for this process to even begin. If you don't have a registered marriage in Bulgaria, you could not do it. But regardless of if you're married or not, it has to be a Bulgarian registered marriage. So we got that from the council. That took around 2 weeks to obtain from start to finish. A passport valid for at least 18 months. It has to be valid for at least 18 months. Now, Marina, my wife, needed her Bulgarian ID and her passport. Now, in the email, it said you need either one or the other. This was in the UK. So the Bulgarian embassy in the UK said you either need your Bulgarian ID or your passport. So Marina bought her Bulgarian ID, I believe, but they said when we got to the embassy, you needed both. So make sure you bring both your ID, Bulgarian ID, your partner's, and not or, the passport. A police ACRO certificate. So the ACRO certificate is basically to ensure you don't have a criminal record, or it's a full disclosure of your criminal record history. Luckily, I don't have any criminal records on file. I'm going to show you one sec. Just want to make sure there's no, basically, this is the police certificate. Hope there's nothing on there, but that's basically to ensure that you've got no trace of criminal evidence. Now that costs about £150, I believe, something like that, 100 and something pound. So this had to be apostilled by the UK government. So basically to apostille a document, again, is more money. You have to send your document to the UK government. They basically stamp it, which means it's an official document. You get a bit, it's a bit of paper on the back of this, a separate bit of paper which is stamped and signed, which makes it an official document. This then had to be notarized by a Bulgarian official, so same similar process, and it also had to be translated into Bulgarian by a Bulgarian translator, an official government Bulgarian translator. It can't just be somebody who knows Bulgarian. The whole document has to be professionally translated. Proof of address in Bulgaria, so whether you're renting or whether you own, we own property in Bulgaria. Our apartment, notarial act, so the act of the deed of the property, basically had to be notarized by a Bulgarian official. So that then had to be basically stamped and signed that this is an official document by a Bulgarian official who was in the UK. This was all for the Bulgarian embassy, bear in mind, in the UK. This isn't in Bulgaria yet. Marina had to write a written declaration that our marriage is not fake, which had to also be signed and notarized by a government official. I needed 3 months worth of bank statements. I needed 3 months of medical insurance in Bulgaria, at least. And once in Bulgaria, we had to have an interview and send proof that our marriage is genuine, which means we had to send pictures, we had to send documents dating back to prove our relationship as long as possible. So from since we got together, basically the first picture, when we went on holiday, documents that we've had together, joint bank accounts, any proof that our relationship is genuine, which is crazy. I understand why though, I do get it. Yeah, we had to physically write our entire relationship journey and what brought us to Bulgaria. So everything you guys know, we had to physically write it in paragraphs. And then we had to wait for a decision, which they said in the email took up to 1 month. We waited 4 months for the decision. So it was a lot more lengthy than we had imagined. Bear in mind, the issue was we had already moved to Bulgaria when we applied for the visa, because we thought, okay, it's gonna take a month, we can move, everything will be fine. But my 90 days in EU expired. And I swear to God, this is the truth. My 90 days in Europe expired. I booked a flight back to the UK because I had no time left in Bulgaria. The day I flew back, they called me and said that my visa is ready to collect. The day I went back to the UK, which was a godsend, really. I don't know how that happened. So after receiving the D visa, which I had to go to the Bulgarian embassy in London to get stamped into my passport. Once it was stamped in my passport, it means I can come and go in Bulgaria within a 6-month period with no stress, no hassle. Then immediately I had to apply for my residency permit. Now, the residency permit is called a TRC, or temporary residency. TRP? Temporary residency permit, basically. It grants you temporary, not permanent residency in Bulgaria. Now, the temporary residency lasts for a period of 12 months. So every 12 months, for a period of time between 3 years and 5 years, depending on circumstances, you have to renew this residency permit. So mine's due for renewal soon, actually, in January, I believe. So for the temporary residency permit, I had to present all of the above documents again for the second time, plus another insurance policy for 12 months. So basically a year's insurance policy in Bulgaria to cover, potential medical expenses, etc. And also proof of 13,000 leva, or just over £5,000. Because I wasn't employed in Bulgaria, I didn't have an employment contract, I needed proof of 13,000 leva in Marina's bank account, her Bulgarian bank account, a printed statement from the bank's main office in Sofia, signed and notarized by an official, and written confirmation Marina is bearing responsibility to support me financially for 1 year. So despite it being my money, or whatever, our money, Marina had to declare that she is going to be responsible to look after me financially for a period of 1 year, and photocopies of both IDs. Now the issue is that our address is one, say we live in an apartment and there's a building and there's 20 apartments, let's say. This isn't my actual address, by the way, I'm just giving an example. My address said, or Marina's address on her ID, her Bulgarian ID said, it's this floor, this address. So she gave that, she put that on the signature, the thing she had to sign. But the problem is, what was on her ID as number 4, let's say, flat 4, let's say, for some reason came through on the council system as flat 8, let's say. So the apartments weren't matching. So this caused a delay in the system because they were basically thinking, well, hang on a minute, it says on your ID you live here, but then you're saying that our records say it's this place. So that was down to basically there was an issue with like the years and years ago when the apartments were being built, there was an issue with the addresses basically. But this caused a significant delay in obtaining the residency permit, which again caused us a lot of stress because we thought we were going to get it, we're going to apply for it, done, boom. But there was a delay. But yeah, luckily we got the permit. And that was literally it. And bear in mind, guys, this might not sound like a lot, but in order to get one document took an average of between 1 and 2 weeks. This short thing here that I've condensed into, you know, 15-minute video, let's say, was actually months and months worth of stress. We started the process in June 2024. We didn't move until October 2024 because the issue was getting the documents and making sure everything's in date and just stress. But yeah, that was basically the entire process. And also I'd say, if you're not sure, email the embassy, because a lot of people ask me for advice, but a lot of the times I'm not sure. Like, each person has different circumstances. And also one thing I'm going to say is there's a lot of people who might comment now saying, well, I did it this way or I did it that way. One thing you need to bear in mind as well about the Bulgarian administration is it significantly varies between regions. So one region, for example, Veliko Tarnovo versus Sofia, they're going to have different regulations as to what's required and what's necessary, what they deem necessary. It can literally change day to day. One day the administration, somebody working there might deem one set of documents as satisfactory. Another day it'll be another set of documents that they think is satisfactory. So a lot of the times, like, you want to make sure you're overly prepared rather than not prepared enough, because as I said, a lot of people, or some people might say, well, I did it this way, I didn't need this, I didn't need that. But just because they didn't, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to follow the same process. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have got any further questions or anything you want to know, please do drop me a comment and I'll make sure I get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But as I said, this was a very good video to make because a lot of you guys have been asking and I finally got around to answering it. But yeah, I'd appreciate it, as always, if you guys can smash that subscribe button. I want to hit 1,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. But yeah, anything else, please guys, do not hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. That's why I do the social media, because I want to help and I want to learn. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.